All right, what is going on, everybody? We're here with another Be the Exception podcast. Ryne Sullivan decided to join us today. Ryne, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Ryne and I know each other from, was that 2017?
17. Yep.
17. We lived together in like one of the funnest condos ever.
It was. That was a great time. Uh,
Well,
yeah.
yeah,
Lots of pranks. And then, yeah.
a lot of pranks. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, 2019 or 2020, we ended up living in the same neighborhood for another few years.
Yeah. Yep. And so, yeah, so we've gone back for a while and kind of just kept the friendship, obviously, and coaching relationship going for a while now. So, good to finally have you on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to branch out and actually do these things.
Right.
For the longest time, I've just been kind of like, I would rather stay
Not.
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But in today's world, if you're not putting anything out there, then you're basically just kind of falling behind everyone else.
Not getting any business, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, cool. Why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself, your coaching experience, and then I think we're just gonna do a little bit of a games recap today. Yeah.
yeah. How far back are you looking for?
Well, normally on my consults, I go all the way back to day one of sports.
Okay. Day one of sports. So 4
maybe
years
let's
old.
not do that.
4 years old. My parents signed me up for T-ball.
Yeah.
No, I played soccer and baseball kind of as my primary two sports through middle school and into high school. The way that my high school was structured, we were kind of a soccer powerhouse, and we were really good at baseball, but not a powerhouse. I was basically told going into sophomore year, I've got a starting spot on the baseball team, and I'm going to be back on the JV team for soccer. And I was like, these seasons overlap, so I'm going to miss 6 or 7 games if I play soccer.
Oh, okay.
And I was just chose to play baseball instead. I always thought that maybe I would keep that option on the table and just never circled back to it. Played baseball through college, small D3 school, kind of middle of nowhere, Tennessee, where we had some good ball players, but we were a party school, so we were also shitheads.
Yeah.
Which I think made it for a much more fun experience because we were not good, right? We won probably an average of 8 to 10 games a season.
Right.
And if you're going to win or you're going to lose twice as often as you're going to win, you might as well have some fun while you're doing it.
Yeah.
So that I was appreciative of being in that environment, and then pivoted to CrossFit, or I had found CrossFit through that time,
Right.
and was thinking that I was going to be good at CrossFit. Ended up competing on a team twice,
2014,
13 and 14.
13 and 14.
And then
Out of Louisiana, right?
out of Louisiana, CrossFit NOLA. We were decent the first year, and then the second year the field got way better, and we did not. It was just, the sport evolved so quick back then.
The rate of improvement back then was just crazy. I qualified for regionals as an individual in 2014 and then didn't even sniff it again since. Or like after that, which is just, it was nuts.
Yeah, and you were team 2014, right?
2014
that was
and
the year y'all went to the games?
Yeah, 2014 and 2016. Yeah.
And I remember watching, because we were at the games, that was the year that the owner of CrossFit NOLA qualified. So we all went.
Yeah.
And it was wild to watch the games caliber teams, because the South Central, we thought, that was the region we were in. So we thought that those teams that were curb stomping us were just incredible. And then we watch like your team.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think y'all finished in like 6th or something.
4th, yeah.
4th. So yeah, like we watch your team just smashing stuff, and we watch some of these other teams, and our eyes are just going wide, and we're like, oh, we are really not good.
This got a lot better.
So yeah, I did that for a couple of years, and then I started coaching like in 2013, but 2014 is when I started taking on more like competitive, aspirational type athletes. And 2015 showed up, and basically I'm coaching people that are competing for the same spot on the team as me. So I just kind of removed myself from the equation as far as team selection. Had some really cool opportunities in that time frame to help try to coach a team to the games. That fell short. Had a couple of years with multiple individuals, and then
you were kind of like the guy in Louisiana.
it was me and L.
Yeah.
I'm gonna butcher his last name, so I'm not gonna try. But Coach L from Brute.
Yeah, I think everybody knows who that is. Just L.
Yeah, so it was just me and him. He was up in Baton Rouge. I was down in New Orleans. There were plenty of good athletes around the state.
Yeah.
But those were the only two coaches who were really coaching people remote and in person who wanted to compete in the sport.
Yeah.
And then kind of 2017, I ended up taking a position with Training Think Tank, and I have been there since.
Yeah. And now your athletic endeavors include running really fast for moderately long distances.
It depends on what you define. Yeah. In the running world, those ultras can get long. So I don't do any ultras. I am currently working towards a marathon. I'll run.
Well, you've run a couple marathons.
I run four. Yeah.
Okay. What's your fastest time?
2:51 something.
Okay.
So somewhere in like the 6:30, 6:35 mile.
Yeah. When did you do that one again?
That was October of last year, Chicago.
Okay. Chicago's. Okay.
Yeah. Chicago was fun. I completely fell apart the last 7K. So
Hell yeah.
it's like the proverbial wall, I hit it hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll give this marathon kind of like another full effort, and then my intention after that is to kind of pivot into the High Rocks world, just to be able to train with people a little bit more. Obviously, I'm more in the CrossFit space, so like
Right.
even if I am not necessarily doing specific High Rocks progressions, like being able to jump in on training sessions with people is a lot more fun than always being by myself.
Than running alone for the last 6 years by yourself.
I
Minus Tuesdays run clubs.
Yeah. I will say, though, that running alone and training alone when you are a coach in this space and like having the freedom to not be hassled during your training is a massive benefit.
For sure.
You know, so like,
do you get a lot of thinking done during that time?
A lot, especially, I mean, not the hard sessions. Like the hard sessions, most of the thinking is me questioning why I do this.
For sure. Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, if you're out there for 2 hours on a long run, like you got nothing but time.
Right.
You know, your heart rate's sitting at 75% of its max. Like that's not that hard.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of hanging out. I will often like think through training progressions or kind of problem solve for some of the athletes that I coach during that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think namely like not having sessions. I remember like trying as I tried to go back into some competitive CrossFit, like training for the Wadapalooza qualifiers in 2018. Like the amount of times that people would try and ask me questions, like as I'm doing burpee box jump overs.
Oh,
and it's like,
yeah.
Kind of have a little bit of respect for this, man.
Yeah. It's crazy, like how your time is not valued as a coach, or maybe not valued, but it's almost like not respected. I guess than not valued, but like your training is just not like I just try and huff and puff as hard as I can, and people tend to not answer.
We all know when you're breathing heavy. The wheezing comes out.
Yeah.
People are more concerned about whether they need to be calling 911 or not.
It's all a facade. I can breathe just fine.
Joke's on you.
Joke's on you.
Yeah, I mean, you can set parameters. Like if you're going to be a competitive athlete in the space, you just need to be better about protecting your time than I was.
Yeah, for sure.
And some of that's probably just being more disciplined with wake-up times. Like someone had an athlete the other day, we were on a call, and they were talking about how they had to wake up at 5 o'clock and that it wasn't that early. I was like, I haven't seen the sunrise in 3 years.
Yeah, I was thinking about that though, because I actually saw Brandon Luckett like posting stuff recently.
Yeah.
And he's like up at like 3:45 and stuff like that. I'm like, man, if I was doing that, one, my hormonal system, it's already shot, but like it
Sure.
would be so effed, because like no way I'm going to bed at 7 o'clock to get
Right.
8 hours of sleep, or 8 o'clock, 7:45. Like
Yeah.
my body's not shutting down that early. And I don't really, I've tried to like train myself to fall asleep at like certain times and stuff like that. And it just always seems like there's a window of like 45 minutes that is like you're in bed and you're sleeping for 8 hours, but you could wake up anywhere in between this like 45-minute window. So I'm always impressed by people like that. And I just want to know like how long you can sustain that for if you're not getting, like, unless you're like the 1% that has the whatever gene that is that allows 4 hours of sleep. Like, how long can you sustain that for?
I mean, for me, the answer is not very.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I haven't really spoken to Brandon since. I mean, that's another Louisiana guy. I haven't spoken to Brandon in a while. Like, we would chat at the games or something, but nothing in depth. But my guess is that he's going to sleep at least by 9.
Yeah. So 6, like almost 7.
6 or 7 hours, I would assume.
Yeah. Do you think people like that just get stupid deep sleep? Like they have no sleep interruptions or anything? Like they have to, right?
Yeah, I mean, one, Brandon is a highly intelligent human. So he's probably doing things in an intelligent manner. Like he's probably not going to bed at midnight and waking up at 3 a.m.
Right.
And he is also like a genetic freak of an athlete.
Right.
Like this is somebody who was an All-American wrestler in high school despite wrestling in a state where there isn't a lot of great competition. So like his skill acquisition levels are just crazy high. I remember I coached his older brother, and I remember those two doing a competition together, and Brandon was a beanpole when he started.
Yeah, I remember seeing him in 2017. I was like, who the heck is this kid? Finishing like 6th place at regionals.
2015 maybe, I think was the time frame that I would have he and John Paul competed together. He could not have weighed more than 155 pounds.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, the dude's qualifying, or 2 or 3 years later, he's qualifying for the games.
Yeah.
Like, he's special.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, some people are built different, man. Like,
yeah.
And most of the people who are built different won't say that they're built different. They just are.
Yeah.
But, I don't know how people do that.
Yeah. More power to him. It's crazy. That was a random tangent, but needless to say, get fucking 8 hours of sleep a night, please, if you are trying to be a competitive athlete.
Yeah, I mean, 7 hours is kind of like, if you're not crossing that 7-hour threshold, I would say that for 99.5% of the population, you need not apply for
signing up for a competition. Yeah.
I mean,
I guess you could compete.
You can go compete, but like if you really want to tap into your potential and you think that you're going to go beat people who have that type of stuff dialed in, like it's not happening.
Yeah, maybe like 10 years ago, but yeah, not anymore for sure.
I mean, people are just so good about so many different things.
Yeah. And there's just so much more out there now too, like in regards to recovery purposes. And like, I always try and tell people like, yeah, you can go do like the red light and whatever, a PNF mat and stuff like that. But like if you're not getting probably, I think minimum 7.5 hours of sleep, literally none of that is going to matter. That like it moves the needle like 0.2% probably.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's sleep and nutrition, right? Those are your two primary foundations. And if you are eating as a 200-pound male, you come to me and you're eating 2,300 calories a day. Again, like that's almost as bad as sleeping 5 hours a night.
Right.
And the amount of people that come at it from both angles, where they're coming to you as a coach and they're like, I want to make the games. I sleep 6 hours a night and I undereat. Like, we got a lot.
We got a lot of work.
A lot of lifestyle stuff to do, let alone the training that
Right.
needs to happen on top of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's always such a battle trying to get people to change the lifestyle stuff too, because they're just so inundated in their ways, and they're like, "Look, I'm getting better. It's working." It's like, yeah, but how much more could you be getting better?
Yeah, yeah. It's a challenge, I think, because people still hear the stories of 2013, 2014 when people were able to work full-time jobs, do the things that they were doing, still go out partying, and still make the games. And they're holding on to that.
Yeah,
But you look at these guys now, like Hopper, Medeiros, Sprague, those guys aren't doing any of that stuff.
right.
You know, like I know someone was saying that some of those guys have like this Halo League that they play in or whatever, but
What, like 1 hour, maybe 90 minutes?
I mean,
3 times a week or something
I have
like
no
that?
idea, but even if that's what you're doing, like that is also, it's just passive. It's
Yeah.
not like you're going and doing damage to your body the way that you are if you're going out and having 8 or 10 drinks.
Yeah, right,
You know,
right.
it's a very different thing. Their hobbies are very different and
Right.
much more conducive to being
Elite athletes.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at any other sport, there's a big video game culture, and I think most sports,
Yep.
what, quarterbacks, Joe Burrow was even playing video games this last time around, like,
Yep.
because it is like you're saying, super passive. It occupies your time, it entertains you, and it keeps you from going out and doing, like, even eating shitty food. Like, it keeps you from doing that to some, like, unless you're like Uber eating stuff
Yeah.
while you're playing. But I would imagine at that level you probably have a chef of some sort.
Sure.
So yeah, I think there's a difference between like going out and trashing your body and playing video games for sure for entertainment.
And I think depending on the sport and the person, like it also minimizes the amount of time that you spend being anxious about your training, right?
Yeah.
So like that's something I actually will do that in the couple of days leading into a marathon because I'm training 20 minutes a day for like the 3 days leading in, and like
Where you're used to what, like 90 minutes
90 minutes to 2 hours
plus?
depending on how you want to define it. Some, with the strength work and all of that stuff, some days it's 2.5 or 3 hours. And you just have to occupy time. Right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'll do some video games. I'll do a lot of fiction reading.
Okay.
Like reading purely for the sake of entertainment and like story-based books rather than where like not a whole lot stressful happens. Like you don't necessarily want to elicit any cortisol response. But yeah, it's a challenge, and
For sure.
I think something like Halo can be that outlet for those athletes.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, my adrenaline would dump and I'd get cortisol dumps from playing Halo 2. So
Yeah.
teach their own.
Yeah. Again, it's everything's individual.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
It's like what you perceive as stressful, I might perceive as relaxing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Very true. Well, cool. What'd you think about the games this year?
I like the games. One of the thoughts that I was actually, when we talked about doing this and doing a games recap, one of my hypothetical things that I am bringing to you, but I feel like the fact that there weren't these crazy novelty implements almost allowed for the competition to be race-based.
Yeah.
And some of those races were super fun, and we weren't seeing skill bottlenecks, but fitness bottlenecks, which is something, minus the pegboard, something we really hadn't seen at the games across multiple events.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought that like for my entertainment as a viewer, I enjoy watching those tight races. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I think when you're looking back at all the highlight reels too, right? It's always like Josh Bridges and Rich Froning on the sled poles. Granted, there was a skill element to that, but I don't like a seated sled pole is just straight grunt work, right?
right.
There was same thing in 2014. There was what was it, double grace, which was a pretty
double
tight
grace
race, I think. And then they obviously had that rope climb overhead squat one right before that, where Froning kind of like cemented his final victory over Frazier in that one, I think.
Yeah.
But But even like in 2015 with Ben Smith and Matt Frazier on the last one,
Yep.
granted, it was pretty heavy skill based, but that last heat could do all the skills at a pretty high level, so it did become more of a race, I think.
Yeah.
Minus obviously Matt just kept getting no reps on which I would equate more to not knowing how to race.
Sure.
But yeah, like, you think back to some of the final events at Carson too, like the 3 girl workouts back in 2013. Yep. Like that was just straight fitness, like exactly. Just straight fitness.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. You think the Cincos were fitness? Cinco 1, Cinco 2. You think that was skill based?
Yeah.
Those are some of my favorite.
Though. For that generation. Now True. It would be fitness based.
Yeah.
I do think that there are moments, Cody Anderson with the muscle up biathlon and being able to go unbroken.
Yeah,
like, that was special.
That was 2014 too. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I want to see a mixture of that.
Yeah.
And I thought that this year the pegboard gave that opportunity. The crossover double under workout gave that opportunity to really express that you have some of these higher level skills, but skills that we've seen and or were announced so that the athletes are all on an equal footing with respect to their preparedness.
Right. Yeah.
That's something I have always struggled with, is those unannounced skills. Like until CrossFit announced the crossover double under, I had never heard of a crossover double under.
Yeah.
Like I've heard of crossovers.
Yep.
But never the double under version, and now we're asking people to do them in chunks, and it's like we're not racing anymore. We're just seeing who's the best at acquiring the skill
acquisition. Yeah, which I think you could probably argue is like if you add up all the 10 or 9 fundamentals of fitness, like could probably equate to skill acquisition, right? But
to a point,
but like. That isn't necessarily the fun part or why people watch the games. They watch the games for the racing aspect of it.
Yeah, and even the pegboard, like the first time it was ever announced.
2016, put it on ESPN.
Disaster.
Trash.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that CrossFit needs to figure out, is what events we're putting on
TV,
because our track record for that is not great. You know, I mean, I remember in the clean and jerk rope climb workout year where Rich just demolished. Was that 2015 or 20? No, it was 2013, because it was the rope climb redemption year.
Yeah. Oh, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
Great event. I forgot about that.
Phenomenal event, right?
For the time. Yeah.
It would still be a great event if you just increase the load.
Yeah. Increase the load and maybe even the height of the ropes. Yeah.
Or do like the thick rope or whatever.
Yeah.
Make it a little bit more challenging.
Yeah.
But I remember coaching fundamentals at CrossFit NOLA and having people come in and they were like, when I saw that event, I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to be a games athlete, but I want to be able to climb ropes and put heavy weights overhead. I want to be able to do that. And then last year we televised Chad. Like, no one has ever been like, man, you know what I really want to do is wear a
stack up 6 boxes and step over them for an hour straight with this dope backpack. Yeah, very fair.
And I made the statement to someone else, like, when you put the pegboard the first year on there, it's like I'm looking at this as a lay viewer, and I'm like, I can't do a pegboard. You know who else can't do a pegboard? The fittest people on earth.
Yeah.
So there's no difference between us.
I'm as fit as I need to be.
So, yeah, I mean, I think some of those things, and even just doing something that's accessible where you could take something right outside and just be like, watch how fit these people are. You go out and try and do 4 rounds of 1 lap around the track, 20 burpees.
Yeah. Well, I think, what was it, the 2013 Helen of like 3 round, full Helen, unpartitioned, 2 rounds of Helen, and then Helen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that would be a great example of that.
Like you can go out and do this at your local playground and just realize how special these athletes are.
Right.
You know, and you hear it all the time. Athletes in various domains and specialties will criticize CrossFit. And it's like, yeah, that's fair. They're not very fast as runners. They're not very fast as rowers, although they're pretty close to some of the rowing metrics, relatively speaking.
On the ergs.
Yeah, on the ergs compared to what they are in weightlifting or powerlifting or running. But man, when you think about how many runners can even kick into a handstand at all, let alone walk 100 yards unbroken on their hands and then kick down and pick up a 550-pound barbell.
Zero.
There's not one who can do either of those things.
Right.
Like even the best athlete of the distance world running or even sprinting can't do any of that.
Yeah. Like the best you could probably get them doing is like a walk on their hands because they're just freak athletes or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, to be able to pick up the heavy weight is a little bit different. I mean, I'm sure if they trained it, they could do it. But yeah.
I do think that the paces on the ergs, like that, the first workout was very impressive.
What I was trying to get a glimpse of what people were holding. I didn't go back, and it was like 147s for guys or something like that.
On the rower.
Yeah.
Coming off of, I mean, the top 10 guys were all running 6:30 or faster miles.
Is this based off of the
4 miles?
off of CrossFit's measurements of 4 miles?
Yeah, so probably 100 to 200 meters short. But that still only adds 8 to 12 seconds a mile. Like it's not like it's a huge difference. They're still running pretty quick.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're as big as they are is kind of
also
wild.
super impressive. What were the mile times last year for guys?
One person broke 5, and then there were a bunch of people in the low 5s.
Okay.
So like they're
moving.
They're moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the women, I think, in the 5:30 range, with most of them kind of like right around 6.
Yeah.
Which is, again, like those are
pretty fast times.
Pretty quick.
Yeah. The running metrics are always what impressed me out of the CrossFitters, because like when I ran cross country in high school, you had nobody that was over like 155 that was doing well in 5Ks for the state. And like these guys are coming pretty close to matching some of their speed metrics.
For sure. I mean, even just comparing it to what I'm doing now, like relative to CrossFitters, I look like a runt, right? I'm 170 pounds and they're all 195 or more of the guys who are 5'8". And I, relative to runners, look like a tank.
Yeah, right.
So like they're like another order of magnitude bigger than I am relative to runners. And they're holding, I mean, if they were able to take those paces and go run at, let's say, a local 10K, like those dudes are still finishing top 5 at most local 10Ks.
Right. Yeah.
And they don't look like they have any business being there.
Right. Yeah.
So it's impressive.
Yeah. Did you notice any difference in like mechanics this year relative to, because I know that's something we've discussed a lot, is like just mechanical efficiency of CrossFitters and their running techniques. Like, have you noticed an improvement of that year over year lately, or?
In general, it is getting better.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of that is your technique will usually get better as you run faster. Honestly, I would be lying if I said that I did any sort of legitimate running analysis on anybody this year.
Yeah.
Just the people that I've kind of worked with a little bit here and there as far as like the TTT athletes. But even with that group, I haven't done anything with any of them in person now in over a year. So it's not something that I'm actively looking for.
Yeah.
Kind of taken the approach that if I'm not asked to help with something, then like I just don't worry about it. Let it live in the world. And if somebody wants my help, they can ask for it, and
Right.
I'll look at your technique from there. Otherwise, I'm just enjoying the race.
Yeah, yeah. So you're not actually like trying to analyze what people are doing mid-race anymore or anything like that?
No,
No.
I mean, I do it more in the mixed modal stuff because that's what I'm coaching.
Yeah.
Like the athletes that I'm coaching are CrossFitters.
And not at the games level where they're going to have, for the most part, going to have like a standalone run. It's more,
Right.
There's more, you're either going to be on an assault runner or have some random event that has a random 1 mile or something
And the
like
assault runner we've talked about in the past, but like the assault runner shifts running towards favoring a heavier athlete,
Yep.
relatively speaking,
and favoring what machine you get on.
and 100% that. I'll make that plug any day of the week that assault runners have no business being in competition.
Yep.
Period. End of story. But that, and then like it actually favors people who overstride and run mechanically poorly. Like,
Yeah.
the people who, you think about your athletes who like to like heel strike and land almost straight kneed out front. Those athletes are crushing it on the air runner, but then you put them on pavement and now their
braking mechanism actually takes over and they start to slow down. Where on
Yeah.
the air runner, it's like,
it's an acceleration mechanism.
right, my
Yeah.
ground contact time actually plays off because I'm able to spin this thing faster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for people who don't have context or don't have enough time spent on the air runners at TTT, technically we have 6, but we have 4 that sit off onto the side. And I don't like to stare at the back of a whiteboard when I'm running on a treadmill stationary for a while, so I run on the 4 on the side. And of those 4, if I were to run 30 minutes easy, one of them would register down in like the 7:25 minute per mile range.
Okay.
One of them will register around 7:45, which is probably the most accurate to road paces. Mm-hmm. One of them will read as though I am running 7:45s, but will accrue meters as though I'm running like 8-minute miles.
Damn.
And then there's another one that will run at like 8:30s.
Just flat 830s.
Yeah, and it's like, wait, how are we trusting this to find the fittest person in this test?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that's one reason why there's been more? They figured out a way to actually run on the road more lately.
I think that it needs to be that way.
Yeah.
I think Syndicate has done a great job of doing that for the semifinals over here in the East, but I would have liked to have seen CrossFit figure out a way for the athletes to do a lap around the stadium instead on the axle bar deadlift workout this year because look, I mean, if you're talking about a minute per mile for every 400 meters, that's a 15-second disparity.
Yeah.
And if you and I are running at the same effort level and you're just putting 15 seconds a mile into me that you should not be putting into me, this is no longer a fair test.
Right.
Because you just get to run.
You essentially get to kick up on you start your deadlifts, assuming everybody went unbroken on those, and you get to kick up on your handstand walks faster, which is a big chunk of that workout, sans the run.
Yeah.
And then you potentially get a full minute of rest on your handstand walking relative to somebody else if you were to come in at the same time.
Yes.
Which is crazy in that workout.
Yeah, I mean, if you in that amount of rounds, you can allocate all of that gain time to do whatever it is that you need to do. Or if you're going fast, then you just win.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be curious to see if anyone does some analysis because I know they started doing analysis on the semifinal back in 2013's runners, and they would find like fast lanes, right?
It's been a case, for every treadmill, every self-propelled treadmill.
Yeah.
I wish there were a better solution because honestly, like having the athletes leave the arena and then come back in, and you're like, surprise. This person's now in third place where they left in first. Like, that kind of sucks, but...
Should just hotel gym treadmill it.
I mean, I would be okay with that.
Honestly, yeah. Like...
that again, that presents its own subset of issues.
Right, right.
Because then it's a matter of how fast can you get this thing to speed, or are you just putting it to speed, and then how are we measuring?
Yeah. They'd have to have some sort of standard of like you have to start at 0, the judge will increase to whatever speed, and then you can increase from there or something like that.
Yeah.
It'd definitely have to be standardized, but honestly, I think it would be better than freaking the runners right now.
Or you could just not run. Like, you already ran 6 miles.
Yeah, right.
And then you did running Isabel. Like,
yeah.
You don't.
Trying to think. They had an echo bike in there too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the echo bike at the end of that one.
The echo bike on the bookends.
Yeah, the bookends of the parallettes.
Yeah.
Did they have a ski erg in there this year? That would have been nasty.
That would have, yeah.
That would have been nasty in that workout.
But it's also, I will say that would be my one critique of this year's programming, and I don't like to go too far into critiquing programming because we don't know all of the decision factors that go into things, right? So if you've ever programmed for a competition, like, you don't realize how many restrictions there are, and the average viewer is just like, this is stupid. We're running for the 3rd time, and it's like, well, yeah, but we don't have access to these other things that you might think that we just have ready access to.
Right, right. Like it costs $10K to rent 30 rowers for the weekend.
Right, exactly, exactly. And in this particular case, I felt that the testing body might have been a little bit cyclical dominant. So obviously you had one event that was exclusively cyclical, but then they had the bike erg in...
Which did come into play.
100%.
Yep.
You had the air runner.
Yep.
You had the echo bike. So I think that there were... I think
roughly 33% had some sort of impact on the events. There 9 events or 10 events?
There were 10 events.
3 of them.
The back-to-back events both had the C2 bike.
Oh, I forgot about those 2. Yeah, yeah.
So then you had the echo bike, then the row run. Then you had the row, losing track here.
So you had
event 1. The run in the deadlift workout.
Yep. Run in the deadlift workout.
And then you also had the run bike in the running Isabel.
Oh, and then
so over 50% of the events had
some form of running or cyclical machine.
Machine. And so it's just a lot of bias towards athletes who spend a lot of time cyclically. And while I do think that cyclical testing is valuable, at some point, if we're talking about being or testing for at the unknown and unknowable, like, if we know that 60% of the testing body is going to have ergs, and it has been this way for years, right? 40, anywhere from 35 to 50% most years. It's like, you just need to be really good cyclically. If you're going to go to the games and perform. Right.
Yeah, I think I did an analysis a couple years ago I think this was in 2020 when they had the crazy, what was it? Was this 6? How far was that run in 2020 at the ranch?
I don't know, but it was far, and then they made them.
Yeah.
The original run was not crazy. It was like maybe 5 or 6K, but it was a very brutal run.
Right.
And then they just made them turn around.
Yeah. I want to say it was like 8 miles in total. I thought it was like a 4-mile run, and then they made them turn around and do it again or something.
Yeah.
But so the years leading up to that, there's anywhere between, I think it was like 4 to 6 miles of running at the games between all the events. They usually had like 12 to 15 events, I think, at the games. And then that year it jumped up to like 16 to 20 miles of running at the game. It was like a crazy amount of running. But this year, honestly, while they only had 10 events, I wouldn't be surprised if it fit back into that of running specifically. And like, granted, I think the year at the ranch, I don't think they had any other cyclical implements there off the top of my head.
That is one of the years that I blank on the most because I just feel like
whatever. 5 people, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'm trying, like, going back to thinking about some of the other events, like it's I think they throw like a row or a ski erg in there. They've done like the echo bike. They've done like cyclical events before. But that's also with like a much larger testing body, and I feel like running was definitely like always the heaviest weighted thing in
at
the past.
the games.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, fair. Like, my bias, if I were to say what I believe as far as testing fitness and who is the most fit person, like, I think that your ability to move your own body weight through space, be it gymnastics, running, whatever, any type of locomotion type training, is probably the best indicator of fitness. Like, I think that strength matters, but at some level, mass moves mass.
Right.
And so when you start doing sled pushes and sled drags and sandbags, like, the heavier athletes will always win on that. And while you could argue in the inverse, my disposition towards that is that moving your own body weight is important because it's what you're stuck with through life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that just gets into the debate of like, how do you define fitness? And like, still to this day, everybody has a different, like, the reason we're sitting here talking is because we technically have different definitions of fitness than the games, right? So I think that just gets into the argument of like, what are you defining fitness as too? And actually, I really wish that they would start going out to power outputs in workouts, because Men's Health actually just put out an article with Wad Science or whatever that guy. Yeah. He just actually did power output testing on athletes, and he's like, yeah, taller, bigger athletes move way more power than smaller athletes.
For sure. And that is, I mean, I think we've always known that was the case, right?
Yeah. Well, it's like science is always behind the curve. Like, you look at somebody and it's like, no duh. No shit.
Yeah. Like, even like in the Tour de France or like the marathon, right?
Yeah.
People think about those athletes and like, it's funny to me because what most people say when they talk about the marathons, like, look at how tall and long those guys are. And then you're like, do you know how tall Eliud Kipchoge is? Just guess.
5'7", right?
He's 5'5".
5'5", yeah. Yeah.
The tallest person to hold the men's marathon record in the last like 40 years is like 5'9".
Yeah.
Like, that is a relatively small human, and they're like 122 pounds.
Right.
And like, you get on the bike, and like, yeah, those power metrics, like the big people are putting out better power, but they're also big on the bike, and they're
not sustaining
wind resistance and it's just
the actual climb, the power output that goes into a climb.
Like, it's just that cyclical stuff is always going to favor small athletes, and I recognize that, and where I do think that having some of the power metrics makes a lot of sense. I don't know how you regulate for that.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a way to create balanced testing to where you can have a mixture of both.
Yeah. You mean power output testing versus time components, or like the actual workouts are balanced?
The workouts being balanced. And I don't think that every workout should be balanced. I think the comprehensive testing body should be balanced.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, was there anything at the games that surprised you, like, with what happened, or things that you thought?
Okay, what I'm super curious about is this freaking hybrid low bar, high bar squat that's going on with like most of the Brute crew. Have you seen that?
I have. I actually coached a guy. You've met Brandon Ecker.
Yeah.
Brandon did that.
Okay.
From like 2013 on.
Okay.
And he was so proficient at it. I think he could back squat like 440 or 450 pounds.
Which was amazing for that time frame. Yeah.
Yep. And his that back squat was basically the equivalent to his deadlift.
Okay.
So he got so proficient at it, and he like just barely below parallel squat. Like, he could high bar like ass to ankles.
Okay.
Like he had that type of mobility, but he perfected that like ride the line back squat.
In my opinion, it looked like these guys were going below parallel.
They were.
Yeah.
There's something to be explored by it.
Yeah.
My guess is that they were all training together and one of them did it and somebody else did it and was like, okay, this feels pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I know Sprague has done that I've watched him do it in the past, but I just thought that was like a weird Sprague thing, right?
And quite frankly, like Sprague's a phenomenal athlete, but strength isn't really his like the thing that you're looking to Sprague to like pick up on things from.
Right.
Which is a mistake in some ways, because if you have an athlete who's performing at that level and cardio is their thing and they're still competitive in the strength metrics, maybe we do need to be looking more closely at that athlete,
what they're doing
compared to like Jason Hopper, who's just an absolute monster
on a barbell.
Maybe we don't need, he's probably more able to get away with flawed things than Sprague.
Although I don't know. I watched Sprague squat and I'm like, this does not seem right. And then you watch Hopper squat and you're like, okay, that seems more normal. But because I think Jennifer Muir did the hybrid too, and she won the strength event for the girls. So I'm just super curious about that. It'll be interesting to see if more people start doing that. And like, I've never played around with it. I've always just hated the mobility to get into a low bar back squat in general. And like, you got to think like the shoulders just take a beating in the sport already. So like to put that load on them and try and train that, I feel like is just, I don't know, for most people, if you're not like uber recovering and have great mobility, is probably not the greatest idea.
Yeah. It's probably something that you'll see adopted if it is worth adopting at the highest level and then slowly trickle down. But I don't think you're going to start seeing that be the mainstream squatting mechanism of athletes who are aspiring to compete at semifinals. And for at least 2 or 3 years.
I mean, Colton won with a high bar. Obviously, he's got like perfect anthropometrics for squatting, but
I mean, like Annika high barred and probably left 15 pounds in the tank.
Oh, what'd she hit?
350, 335.
Okay,
somewhere. Like, she's crazy strong, but like the way Max coaches her is she's crazy strong, and she just gets stronger despite what you give her. So there comes a point where it's like, you got to be more competitive in running. You got to be more competitive in power output. Like, she was able to finish as high as she did. She had a fantastic games despite usually being one of the lower end of the packs on getting off the ergs and stuff like that. So I think from an athlete development and ascension standpoint, like, she has some potential that in the next couple of years, as those metrics continue to get better, to start pushing out some of the athletes who are already like kind of winning off, like your Amy Kringles or someone like that. Like, she's super impressive, but if you have that huge gap and then that gap starts to go away, is the athlete who's accustomed to running you down just going to retain their ability to run you down, and now they only have to run you down by 10 seconds instead of 20? I was shocked at the running Isabel. I did not think that workout was going to do what it did to people, and I did not anticipate seeing as many people go into squat snatches as they did. Nor did I anticipate seeing as many failed reps as we did.
Well, I think, this is something that we talked about, and I think you really saw this on the team side of things. We've actually talked about this in the past, about like the intensity component is kind of lost in the sport. Like, the absolute intensity component is kind of lost in the sport. And you really can only bring it out in a competition environment a lot of the time. Sometimes in training if you got the right partners, right? But that one was like straight up raw intensity level. So like, it was great to see that, and great to see people have to go into that. And I think the team side of things, I just don't know if they were really truly prepared for the intensity that was needed to be brought. There's probably like 4 or 5 teams that were maybe like 6 to 7 teams that were truly ready for it.
Right.
But the individuals, I think they were more prepared for it. But I think once you get into those absolute zones, weird stuff happens.
Oh, for sure. Like if you've done that type of training, you start losing control of what your body's doing.
Yeah.
And like you saw it.
Yeah.
But I just did not think that load was enough to elicit that. Like I thought that the athletes were just going to be cycling the bar smooth.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like you can only cycle it so much faster by bringing the intensity. So yeah, I thought that event was really well done. Like
I think that was probably one of their best events since like 2014 at the games, to be honest.
The other thing I think that might have played into that is those athletes were deep into the weekend by that point.
For sure. Yeah.
And
that what event did they have that more? That was the handstand push-up one before that event.
Yeah, so like their shoulders were wrecked.
And some of them had a pretty intense bike. Like Hopper had a pretty intense bike that he was coming off of. So like to have him tank at the end of that workout, it makes a little bit of sense.
It does, yeah. But it still made for a much more exciting finale. Like obviously, when the event finished, we knew who was going to win. Like there wasn't a whole lot of drama behind the unveiling of the winner, but
on the last event.
After the last event,
right.
You didn't know that he was going to win going into the final event.
Right.
And I think that that's something that is good for the sport.
100%. Yeah.
You know, and as much as Tia is super impressive and everything that she's done in the sport has been unmatched and unprecedented, it's still a young sport, so a lot of things are unprecedented. I think that the women's field is probably less exciting than the men's right now.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll straight up say it. Like, I think Tia's super boring. Like, her winning over and over again is just, I don't think it's great for the sport, to be honest.
No.
Like, it just makes a boring sport.
And it's not even that she's winning. It's that she's winning by so much that this year she could have sat out the last 2 events.
Yeah.
And still had enough of points to win.
Yeah. And it's like that goes back to like, I mean, Matt and Tia were both doing that back in, late teens, early 20s. And just like now you're trying to watch for second place and like they never highlight second place that's going on. It's boring. Like it's super boring. But, this year and to some extent last year and the year before, like the men's side of the field was so much fun to watch. And like, actually, if you go back on the leaderboard, Sprague ended up missing out on second place by 0.5 seconds is what it ended up. 0.48 seconds is what it ended up being. And like, dude, that's a crazy, crazy race.
One of the things that I am really excited about, so the guys who finished at the top of the podium this year, not the top of the podium, the top like 8 to 10 male athletes on the aggregate are very young.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, there was a long period of time where it was like, okay, we've got Ben Smith, but Ben Smith's 29 years old. We've got all the, Noah and the Vellner and Fikowski, but, like, we know that their careers are coming to an end. And I think that the sport's in good hands with this young group. Like,
for sure.
And I love the competitiveness that they have. Like, I'm a big fan of, like, good sportsmanship. I really am. But, like, some of the rivalries that have developed and their willingness, also friendships, like
that's what, like, and that's kind of like what we're trying to create with our company is like this good, healthy, competitive environment.
Yeah.
And like you have that between James, Stalin, and Hopper,
and Colton,
and Colton as well. And it's like and that's one thing that I always had a philosophy of is like, as soon as we step onto the floor, like, I have no friends. I don't give a fuck who you are. Like, I have no friends. Off the floor, though, we're 100% friends. Like, I'm going to hang out with you, like, talk shit with you, whatever.
For sure.
But, like, when you go onto the floor, I don't give a fuck who you are.
No. And, like, you have to be that way.
Yeah, right.
Like, when you show up to compete Like, you need to want to, like, basically embarrass the
Yeah.
person. Like, it's not enough to just beat them in CrossFit competitions. You need to want to embarrass them.
Right.
Some of that is because if you're going to beat someone over the course of 7, 8, 10 events, you need as many points and people between you and your competition as possible.
Right.
Because inevitably you're going to have a flop, whether it's a misexecution, something that gets exposed in your fitness. And if you're not, willing to step on someone's throat, like, you lose out on points.
Yeah, which is so interesting that Adler, like, because I don't know where you heard it, but you said Hinshaw was yelling at him to pass.
Yeah, Henshaw yelled at.
Yeah, which is like crazy to me. Like, and this is why I think the sport is still in its infancy, is because you have people that don't understand the competition side of things still.
Yeah.
And like, your one thought in your head is, how do I get the most points possible in this workout? Passing people.
Yeah.
Like, if I have the ability to do that, I should do that.
And there does come a point where I'll say this, like,
the cost benefit Yeah.
analysis, right? So if I were out there, like me personally, and what I'm capable of doing against those types of athletes, I would have had to run so hard
Yeah.
in order to keep pace with that top group.
Yeah.
Not like, when I say keep pace, I mean on the aggregate, right? Like, I would have come in and gotten on the rower before them, but they still would have gotten off the rower before me.
Yeah.
And so it's like, is this worth
Pushing this hard for
pushing and tipping into that much of the anaerobic system to get 100 points when I could have gotten 90 and just kind of been coasting?
Right.
But in the case of Adler, I saw that interview and I was kind of surprised because, I mean, he passed Roman, and like,
By all intents, it seemed pretty easy.
it seemed easy. And
Yeah.
that was where I was floored, where I was like, it really didn't look like you were ever that labored. Like, it was surprising to see that, but also surprising to hear him admit that
Yeah.
publicly. Like, that might be a backroom conversation that I have with someone,
Yeah. Right.
but like, publicly, there's no way I would ever admit that I didn't know for a fact that I was running that dude down.
Yeah. Right.
Like, and
right.
some of that is like the gamesmanship of competing and what you're
Right.
talking about, right? So I do think that there's some of that, and I think Dahlin in particular has a little bit of that like edge to him and his willingness, and Hopper too, like
Yeah.
both of those guys. I think it's funny because I've seen some interviews with Medeiros, and Justin just seems very happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
And I think that he just competes with a different disposition, but obviously it works well for him.
Right. Right. He seems a little bit like how Noah used to compete.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's not Noah competes super well. Medeiros obviously won the games twice, but it's much more of like a focus on best effort, best execution, which is like needed, but it's not necessarily like a focus on like how to the subcategory of competition, and like, how do I get inside somebody's head during this?
But if that detracts from your performance, then it's almost like it's not worth playing that
Totally.
game.
Yeah.
So some of sport, and this sport and all racing sports, is knowing how do you get the most out of yourself, and how can you get people into like overreaching. And it's funny because you saw that in the Olympics. Was it last year? Yeah, we're in 2025. So last year, when Ingebrigtsen and Kerr were talking shit on the 1500 between them two, and they're just like trying to get in each other's heads. And then the American out of nowhere just like outkicked both of them because they weren't
focused on their whole competition. Yeah.
So, sometimes it's like you can get too narrow in that focus,
right,
if you're trying to play that game.
For sure.
So there's an art, and
oh, it's definitely an art form. Like, it's definitely an art form for sure. And like, you need, and that's why I think training environments are so important, is because it can help you start to develop what type of athlete you are and how you manage the the competition best. And like,
Yeah.
if you are the type that wants to play games like that or can, you can really cultivate that inside of training and like inside of a training environment. I remember this one time we were training with somebody, or this was back when I was competing, and I think it was like a 30 cal row into like 30 squat cleans or something like that. And the guy asked me what my pace was and whether I was going any unbroken on the squat cleans. And so I told him faster. I knew he wasn't as good of a rower as me, so I told him faster than what I was rowing. And then I told him I was for sure going some touch and go on the squat cleans. And he did. He came off the rower before me and did touch and go and blew the fuck up.
Yeah. Oh, dude. So I was more in that boat where I'm not naturally a shit talker.
Yeah.
If you start running your mouth and you can't back it up, like, you know, if I'm in the baseball leagues and stuff that I'm playing in, like if someone starts running their mouth, I'll start getting chirpy.
Yeah.
But you have to initiate that.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have to initiate it and not be able to back it up. If you can back it up, talk your shit. You know?
You got it, man. I concede.
But when I competed, especially in events that had components where I was like, oh, I know I can do this really well, but like there was an event in a competition that I did in 2013 that was open with 800-meter run, and then it had max squat snatches at 185. My one rep max at that time was like 205.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I've got no chance of winning this event. Like people can just like literally walk the 800 because it was 6 minutes to do the buy-in and then come back.
Okay.
It's like, but what I can do is take this thing out hot.
Yeah.
And so I ran, it was like a 220 or 225, 800.
Oh, flying.
Yeah, for sure. But I also knew I was going to have to change my shoes.
This is so back in the day.
Some 2013 CrossFit.
Shit,
yeah. And so I took it out, and this dude just like competitive as all get out, just like could not just let me go. And my plan was like, if no one came with me, I was going to back off. But if someone came,
I was going to bait them.
100%.
Yeah.
And a few people did.
Yeah.
And it was funny because one guy went there and like could not go below parallel because he was breathing so heavy that I beat him in a workout. It's a guy who snatched like 245. So yeah.
And this is also back in the day where it was like, you don't stop, you just keep going. So I'm sure he was just trying to pull the bar repeatedly,
100%.
Getting no reps.
Yeah. So like those types of games, I think if you know that, you know, this is going to be a disaster one way or another, but I might be able to make this a disaster for someone else.
Right. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. And I think so recently I read a book or read part of a book. I did like a little like pacing talk.
Yeah.
And I think that's why live competitions are so much more fun is because there is
100%.
gamesmanship to it. But it was kind of like in the book, it kind of broke down some different race strategies. This is for running specifically. But it prefaced everything with most people run their best race against the clock, not against playing those games and playing against other people.
You have to earn the right to race other people. So what I mean by that is until you're fit enough to race other people and play those bait tactics, you are going to blow yourself up.
Yeah.
Like I did that in that one event because I knew that it didn't matter.
Yeah.
I was going to come in and have a 70-second transition to put on weightlifting shoes so that I could actually go below parallel and still only get like 5 reps tops.
Right.
But in the case of most athletes, when you start trying to play the game of like, I'm going to rip the assault bike right off the bat and try and drag people out into a race that I'm comfortable racing, but they're not, you have to make sure that you have the fitness to not blow up yourself and end up crashing and burning.
And it requires like a really good understanding of what your body is capable of.
Correct.
Because like if you do stuff like that, you're going to put yourself in a little bit of a hole, and you need to understand your body and the sport very well, because you have to understand if I bait people to this point, I know that this is going to be a slower movement for me, and I'm going to be able to actually recover a little bit on this, where they might be really messed up, like the snatches specifically. And
Right.
now we're at an even playing field leaving this movement versus like I'm really fucked up. They're just crushing it because I let them go to it at a comfortable pace.
Yeah.
And now I'm way behind afterwards.
And then one of the things you always have to be careful of, especially in like certain races, is if you don't know your competition, some people thrive off of sitting in someone's back pocket in an event and then kicking really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have an athlete who does that and you just drag them out a little bit faster than they wanted to go, but their fitness can absorb it, they're going to run their best race. And all you're doing is setting the pace for them,
right,
and doing all of the hard work.
And they're just like, sick, thanks, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like with that athlete as well, is you can hide a kick, come out a little bit slower, and then all of a sudden you have a kick at the end and they're like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, but again,
knowing your competition.
You have to know your competition.
Yeah.
You also have to be fit enough to hide the kick.
Yeah.
Or feign blow up.
Right.
Like there's so much complexity, and in the CrossFit space, like there's little moments of opportunity to create anxiety in your competition.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like you think about regionals, the way that they used to be set up on the floor plans and how long the floors were, like a thruster rope climb workout where you're running 60 or 80 feet.
Mm-hmm.
You have an opportunity every time you transition to put someone into a very uncomfortable position.
Right.
By just jogging.
Yeah.
And if you're not fit enough to jog and then go into the reps, then you can't do that.
Right.
But if you are, you can break people mentally. And I remember one year watching one of the athletes that I was coaching just absolutely broke a girl when going into the last round of rope climbs. It was like rope climbs and then finishing with thrusters. The last round of rope climbs, going to the rope climbs, the girl like finished her thrusters and was like hurting.
Mm-hmm.
And my athlete saw that and just ran.
Yeah.
And just like you saw the immediate break in body language and it was like, well done.
Yeah.
That's what we love to see.
Yeah.
So I think for CrossFit, most of that type of racing needs to be reserved for those types of moments more than, like, honestly, if you and I are doing double unders next to each other, I can't count your double unders.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why the Isabel workout was so much fun, was because you had that component to it. Like you saw guys looking over and like checking in, and then you would see like, okay, Sprague's keeping up with, I can't remember who he was keeping up with. I think it was Hatfield. Hatfield. And then all of a sudden on the 5th or 6th round, like you see Sprague's body composition change and you're like, oh, he's got him. Yeah. Like
I will say I love watching Austin Hatfield compete.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, you never have to question that man's effort.
Yeah.
Now, maybe his I think that as he refines some of the way that he approaches workouts, like he's a problem. Like his fitness is really impressive.
Yeah.
But I love watching him just straight attack workouts. And I think there was a period of time in the sport where, you know, Fraser was able to attack workouts, like full attack, but the workouts had gotten to a point where they were almost not attackable. Like the workouts were just too advanced and too skill bottlenecked, where like this year I thought that there was a lot of opportunities to do that. And some of the women as well, just like getting after it right off the bat.
Yeah.
And like there's no hesitation. And I always think that that's fun to at least have a couple of those wild card personalities in there that are just like, you know, I'm just going to go out and
send it.
Yeah.
Steve Prefontaine it.
Dude, hair on fire from the beginning. Yeah, it's awesome.
I do think though that that did happen in 2023, I think. Who's the girl that was super young that just retired recently?
Mal?
No. Mal's counterpart, basically. Her equal in the sport. Carrie? Was it Carrie something?
Oh,
Emma Carey?
Emma Carey.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
So in 2023, you watched her do that, but her fitness wasn't there to be able to sustain it. And then you watched a lot of the more, and actually there was a lot of kind of newer athletes at the games that year, and they all they either did it or they fell into her trap of doing that. But then you watch the more experienced athletes like kind of run their own race, and then at the end kind of find somebody to compete against.
Yeah.
And all of that, Alexis actually did that super well that year. Like she crushed that, and she ended up did she get the podium that year?
No.
It was super close. I know
think
that.
she was like in 5th.
Yeah. But like, I think that was Laura's year. Laura won that year, and she did, and like she just ran her own races, started racing at the end of the race, like, and like to your point, like the skill bottlenecks were I think super high at that point in time.
Yeah,
and so like it was just cool to see the difference in younger athletes just coming out full send and some of the more mature athletes, and like it can work in the opposite direction.
Yeah, that is something that I think athletes who have strong kicks will always perform well at the games, especially the athletes that are able to get into the later heats, because now you can just see like, okay, the best workout is 10 minutes. I know the exact splits. So the coaches are able to tell them, we were planning on going out at this pace, but you can back that off because the best split for the best time is actually here.
Yeah.
So we can manipulate that.
Yeah.
That is something I would honestly like to see get reduced at the games.
I was actually just about to say that.
The announcing on the floor, I wasn't there, so I don't actually know that this was happening, but I know that in the broadcast, like the time to beat is 9:45.
Well, they almost always do that on floor somewhere.
It's like,
or they're announcing like reps on people. So
yeah.
And that I don't think you can get rid of, and like that's part of the pacing element of the competition, like announcing people's reps, because the crowd needs to know, But
for sure,
I do think that you could see it big time in the team competition, especially because there was only 2 heats.
Yep.
The first heat would come out, and then that second heat would come out and just smash their times, and especially with the team side of competitions where strategy is in my opinion, way more important in the workouts. You could watch everybody do the workout. Okay, these are the small little things that are going to give us 15 seconds on this workout, or give us 15 reps or whatever. And then the second heat has such an advantage to that.
I mean, I remember sitting in 2018. I had an athlete in the third of 4 heats. And I remember just looking at the scores for the first 2 heats, and we had practiced all the workouts. So it's like, hey, this is the time to beat right now. Go out at that pace. And then if you have something to give at the end, then
send it.
Yeah. But, if you finish at that, if you finish with the time to beat after the 3rd heat, you're already guaranteed a top 10 finish.
Right.
So, that is like having the announcers facilitate that is a little bit frustrating.
Totally.
If the athletes and their coaches are able to do the research and the footwork on their own, good on them.
Yeah. I kind of wish that it was just like dark again, like what they did for Chaos and like some of the last events of the games in like 2013 and 14, where they would literally bring you into a room, no TVs, no anything. You didn't have cell phones. And then they would just walk you out to the floor when it was your heats event. And then you kind of went back to the area, but you were like stationed in an area until that time. Like that was awesome.
Yeah. And in that case, like if you're doing that, your coach can be with you or not with you, whatever you want. But if they're with you, then there's no phones beyond this point.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really interesting, because I think that is a better test of,
I think it would,
at least self-awareness.
Self-awareness for sure. I think it would force you to really prove your fitness as well, because like now, no matter what, like you always have it in the back of your mind, like especially if you're in the earlier heats, like you're like, man, I'm racing heat 1 right now, or heat 3 right now, not just my heat. But like if you're in some of the latter heats, you can kind of like, all right, I'm going to finish 8th or 9th in this heat. That'll be good enough for like a 11th, 12th. You might not turn it on, but if you don't know where you're at, like, yeah, you could do some serious damage just kind of coasting in a workout.
Well, and especially on those, like middle range workouts, like a 7-minute workout, a 6-minute workout.
Where like seconds genuinely matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like having a target in mind where you're like, I need to be below X time allows you to race just a little bit harder. And it's actually something that was very interesting someone came up with a data analysis for qualifying for Boston.
Okay.
And so sub 3 hours has been the gold standard. They moved it recently to 2:55 if you're 34 and under. And then you get a bump by 5 minutes every 5 years, basically.
Okay.
So what they did was, if you look at the exact cutoff, there is an abnormally high number of people that finish right at that cutoff because the carrot has been dangled. So people will run 2:59:30. And like from a percentage standpoint, like people like to shoot for round numbers and people like to like beat whatever time gets set forth. So as soon as a mark has been established, like there will always be the ability to clear that mark. Where, it's almost like if you're racing in the earlier heats, like you need to really do your best because people are going to beat that regardless.
Yeah.
And if you don't take advantage of your fitness fully, they're going to just surpass it. You're just a barrier.
Yeah. I mean, that was a huge advantage for Tia. Not to say that she didn't just clean house and she wouldn't have won, but that was a huge advantage for her this year, having a mass start for the first event,
Oh, 100%, because she couldn't. Yep.
Like I get to see all my competitors right off the bat. Don't have to worry about getting the best time on this workout, because I think inevitably if it had started out where she was in one of the later heats, she probably would have had two like 12 to 20th finish, and then obviously shoe malfunction, pegboard, 23rd place finish or whatever that was. She probably would have had a second workout that was a little bit lower.
Yeah, lower, but I mean, you're talking about probably the difference between first place and like third place.
Yeah.
I mean, I think her fitness is just on such a different level that we're not really like we're picking at things. And,
for sure. Yeah.
And honestly, if she was signed with any other shoe company, because it was all the same, it was all the Rad, right?
Yeah, I think it was all Rads that.
Yeah. So
not 100% on that. I didn't do a deep. The only thing I know is there were shoes that were not working on the pegboard.
One of the funniest things I saw on Reddit was someone was like, the lane assignments were like dictated so much about the pegboards, and they sent it, and someone else goes, so statistically speaking, this is insignificant.
Damn, your p-values suck.
And I was like, huh. So, I mean, I really think that it came down, like, I would be curious to see if someone with that type of, like, yes, I guess I could run it. But, like, if someone did that with the shoe.
Yeah.
To look and see, what was the significance of the type of shoe. Mm-hmm. But there's too many factors behind the shoe itself, right? Because, like, is this a out-of-the-box shoe? Or is this a shoe that I've been wearing since 2015 that has no tread left on it because it's my favorite pair of shoes?
Yeah. I think that's one of those things that, like, you can only figure out if you're, like, talking to the athlete post-event. And that's why I didn't put much that's why I didn't try and, like, deep dive into it, because there are so many variables there. And I was just like, something with the shoes is going on.
For sure.
Because you even saw, I don't think Hopper's like a Rad athlete specifically, but even he was like wiping his feet off. Like people were I think in the later heats they figured out, and the guys specifically figured out, like, oh, you got to wipe your shoes off before you go up on the pegboards.
Right.
So like maybe it was even something to do with like sweat getting on the pegboards or something like that.
Yeah. And it seemed like the smaller athletes had less trouble with it in general. So I do wonder if, like, it had something to do with body weight. But I mean, that, like you said, there's no point in really diving too deep in. But again, that therein lies, like, when we're testing for fitness, we don't really want to see the shoe selection that you choose make a difference, or the
Yeah.
lane that you get assigned to make a difference.
Right. Yeah.
Like you think back to Orlando, the year of semifinals, where there was one specific lane that the sled would not budge for any of the athletes. And it was like every athlete who got in that lane finished bottom 5.
Yeah.
That's no longer a coincidence. That's not,
There is statistical significance to that. Run analysis on that one, guy.
Yeah, and I actually, when that workout finished, is I watched an athlete that I perceived to be very strong struggle to move a sled, where an athlete like 5 lanes over, who I did not perceive to be very strong, moved the sled very easily.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to go take a picture of all of the lane assignments. And I just kind of looked at it and I was like, I didn't even need to run an analysis.
Right.
Like, the lane assignment mattered. There were 2 fast lanes, and then there were 2 or 3 slow lanes, and then everything else was just kind of...
Yeah, and I think you saw the same thing with the runners that year, too. There were like 2 or 3. So one thing that could be going on with that, too, is like, were the runners super fast as well? Like, did those specific runners get lined up in those specific lanes?
Right.
And there probably could have been a combo of like, fast runner gets lined up with a fast sled lane, like you're taking off,
For sure.
But I do think that shoe selection and like equipment selection is something that can be tested a little bit. There's like some gamesmanship to it in regards to like strategy of what you're going to use. Like some years people like in the 2013, like I think there were a couple people that ran with lifters on to start the event because they're like, I need to do this to get as big of a lift as I can. And then I think they ended up I think they had to run their 800s with that on too. I'm not 100% on that, but I think there's still some strategy to that. And like, it's unfortunate that stuff like that happens, but at the same time, like odd things about sport are odd things about sport. Football fields are all different, especially if you're playing on grass versus turf. Like,
for sure.
And
I mean, some of it too, the human element of judging. I thought that one of the other benefits of this testing body and common CrossFit movements was that it was easier for the judges to not make crucial decisions.
I don't think I heard anything from Hiller all weekend.
I don't look at anything that he posts, so I wouldn't know. But I mean, I think just in the standpoint that if I feel fairly confident in my ability to judge common CrossFit movements. I have been the head judge at several competitions. I've probably judged as many open workouts as anybody that you know.
Maybe more, honestly.
And I have judged for many of TTT's high-level athletes in the open quarterfinals. It's just been something that I've been trusted with, and I've only had, I think, 2 penalties ever given out. And this is out of probably like 50 or 60 video reviewed workouts minimum. But as soon as you start putting things out there that are like more convoluted or things that I've never seen before, I'm going to miss things because I'm just not familiar with the standard. And I think that the more you can simplify that process, the better.
Yeah.
And in this particular year, I felt like there was nothing.
I mean, what was I guess the new creative movement would have been what, the crossover double under that's been in there already?
Yeah, and the crossover double under
maybe
is hard.
Yeah.
But the axle bar deadlift, it's a deadlift.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I think that, well, I guess they've done it on this team side, and I don't think they've done an axle bar deadlift on the individual side of things. They've done it on the team with DT and Masters, but I don't know if they've ever done it on the individual side of things.
I seem to recall a year that Chris Spieler was doing it, that there was an axle bar because he couldn't double overhand deadlift the axle bar.
Oh.
And someone changed the rules. That might have been at a smaller competition.
Okay.
But, I seem to remember it somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you're right.
But I mean, it's still, yeah, to your point, like it's still a deadlift. Like,
But like, think about even simplifying the bar facing burpee. Like, do I love the way that the Syndicate Crown like step over burpee looked? No. But compare that to Mayhem and the burpee box over, which I think is a fantastic movement. But as soon as you start playing this game of like, well, your foot crossed outside of the box, so
Yeah.
therefore it's a no rep, and it's like,
okay, well, if you had just made the box wider, it wouldn't have been.
right.
Like,
Yeah. And, you know, that was honestly very nitpicky because I thought Mayhem's competition was phenomenal. But just like things like that where it's like, let's just simplify this for the judge so that we don't have people complaining about how this athlete got away with it and that athlete didn't. Let's just make the standards as simple to enforce as possible.
that and going back to the call on the floor stance, like, and then you don't have people arguing as much about what the hell is happening on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, every other sport has a replay system. I'd have no problem. Like, we appealed successfully a couple of times at Syndicate, and then we were rejected on one. But like, I think that it's in some cases it's like, you know, one of the athletes that I was coaching there got no repped for jumping off of the box. Well, the boxes were 36 inches.
Yeah, what'd you want me to do?
And that was the standard, was that you could jump off the box. So she didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
She just got, like, the judge panicked and gave out a no
I
rep.
see. Yeah.
And, like, you need to be able to get that time back.
Yeah. I think I more so meant it like if you do get away with something, like allowing the call on the floor to stand.
Yeah, I mean, and some of it too is like from an audience standpoint, if you've never umpired, judged, done anything like that, I'm really not interested in hearing your opinion on the matter.
Dude, it is freaking brutal.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
And until you're around like the athletes that are moving as fast as they're moving, and you have to make a decision on whether something was actually below parallel or above parallel, or you have to make a decision on whether they jumped off of 2 feet or off of 1 feet, or whatever the case may be, and you realize that these athletes are moving faster than anyone you've ever seen move in the CrossFit space. And you have to do it from up close because it's actually easier to judge people from far away.
Right.
And you're having to make these real-time decisions that impact how much money this person is going to make, and you know that this decision makes that impact. Like, I just don't want to hear you criticize the judges.
Yeah.
And they're not getting paid. In fact, they are paying
to go out there
and judge.
Right.
So that makes it even worse. Like,
right.
You don't go out to, you know, criticize volunteers. Like, you know, could it be better? Yeah, like we can raise the issue of like this needs to get better.
Right.
But don't attack the individuals who are doing the Lord's work, if you will. Like, right? Like they're literally putting themselves under the eye of public scrutiny.
Yeah.
They're paying to be scrutinized.
Yeah.
And bullied online. Like,
yeah.
No, I'm not here. I'm not here for that.
Yeah. We actually had an athlete get blasted by Hiller for fittest of the coast. And it's just like, dude, this is like great competition, but this is like a tier 2 competition. Like people are coming here to have fun and have a good time and like brush up on some competition skills leading into the season.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing criticizing anything that's going on from a judging standpoint at that competition?
And again, like at a competition like that, not only are they volunteering, but they're not getting anything for it. Like at the CrossFit Games, a lot of times they'll give them gear and stuff like that that they get to take home. Sometimes they'll like have some sort of room voucher, or they get them like an extra discounted hotel room or whatever the case may be. But at those local competitions, like when we were doing the competition, you know, back in Louisiana, we had people giving up their entire weekend. They were at the facility by 7 a.m. They were not leaving the facility until 7 p.m.
Yeah.
Many of them were driving 30 or 45 minutes in each direction and were, you know, yeah, were bad calls made 100%. You like that's part of it.
Yeah.
But like we're not gonna ride them because they made bad decisions.
Right.
We might try to educate them and inform them, but it's a very different conversation than chewing them out or ripping them apart.
Right.
If they're getting paid, if you're a Major League Baseball umpire or you're an NFL referee, you are getting paid to do this.
Yeah. There should be some standards.
Yes.
Hashtag get rid of the union.
Yeah. Oh God. Fire CB Buckner in particular. Jeez. But yeah, like it's different with that type of stuff. But again, some of this is like, how do we simplify the standard? Mm-hmm. Take a dumbbell box step up, make it a dumbbell box step over.
Yeah.
Just get to the other side. Mm-hmm. Both feet have to touch the top of the box. Both feet have to touch the other side.
Yeah.
And I thought that this year was a good process, like a good step in that direction.
Right.
And I hope that it continues to evolve in that direction because it was fun to watch people race and not see no reps play a major role.
Right. Yeah, that is one thing that you definitely did not see like a crazy amount of this year. Actually, was no reps. So yeah, it's a super good point. Yeah, I always feel too like it's like you have a good year like this. I feel like there was one year at Madison that was like okay, but I feel like you have a good year like this, and then it's like we have to do more. Like we have to reinvent the wheel again and like figure out how to do something crazy to pique people's interest. And it's like, dude, just races are what pique people's interest. Like figure out how to make everything a really good race, which is what it was back in 2014. This is maybe a little bit of bias, but I always thought that 2014 was like the peak of programming at the games, and it's kind of been like a little downhill with some roller coasters going on. But if you just figure out a way to make good races, the sport becomes super entertaining again.
For sure. Make good races and then give athletes opportunities to show off their unique skill sets, right? Like the 1RMs and stuff like that. I'm
even okay with like the handstand stuff. Like
for sure.
Dude, honestly, if you had a handstand game of like Pig or something like that, follow the leader.
Yeah.
I think that would be kind of fun.
I wouldn't mind one year seeing like a skill medley where it's like, there's 6 events. Each of them are only worth 50 points.
Yeah.
50
Go
points
back to
pop.
the 1RM pull up, farmers carry for distance, and then I think there was
do you remember they did the year with the broad jump?
Yeah.
That got ruined because of the rain. But like you could do little things like that.
Right. Dude, track and field was the best day in elementary school. Like,
100%.
Bring it back.
100%. Do the presidential fitness test.
Yeah. Look at how soft all these kids are. Our athletes are so much better than them.
They'll never be elite.
They'll never be elite.
But yeah, I mean, I think that in the case of like gaining traction with the audience, they want to see things that are exciting. The other thing that needs to happen is we need better media put out around it. We need better media put up leading up to it and coming out of it, right? Like it's really cool to see documentaries, and like I think CTP over at Training Think Tank, like with us, does such a good job with his documentaries on the individual athletes.
Yeah.
And I would just like to see people making that kind of content, but more inclusive of
all the athletes.
Yeah,
yes. I would be super curious to see like numbers on that too, because I mean, back in the day, like we'd sit down to watch literally an hour plus documentary of like day in the life of 1 and 2.
The best. Those were the best.
One of the best things I've ever. Like you go back and watch it now, and it's like, wow, these guys won. But like, man, I've probably watched that like 4 or 5 times, and like, but I would say like my attention span was longer back then too,
for sure.
And like, I can barely sit down to watch a movie anymore,
Yeah.
So like, what's a good amount of length, and like, does long form videos actually do well anymore? I mean, I'm sure there's probably some metrics out there that would say yes to that. But I do agree, like just finding the content that hits with people again is detrimental to CrossFit's success.
Yeah, I mean they're doing the Road to the Games series, and those are good. But I think they're only covering 8 total athletes, and in the case of the games documentary, I don't know if anyone's even creating one this year.
Yeah.
I read that the Buttery Bros weren't there, and they've been doing it for the past couple of years.
Yeah, they didn't get. They ended up not getting like exclusive media or like the premium media access or whatever that was.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we got to make some decisions on, are we going to employ a team? And if we're not employing a team, we need to outsource to whoever we perceive to be the talent in the space at the time, and just giving them creative freedom.
Yeah.
Maybe even mandating some press conferences or something like that in the days leading up, just to get some sound bites. I mean, the Super Bowl does it.
The press conferences seem like something that would be super simple to do and would get a ton of traction.
Yep.
Just UFC it. Style it.
Make them
talk mad shit.
Could you imagine? That would be wild.
I don't think there'd be like 2 people that could probably do it in the space.
it's combat sports. Those dudes are wired.
Yeah,
way different.
Yeah, and I mean also too, like I really enjoyed CrossFit back in the day for what it was like a very supportive community and a very supportive event. And like I've heard people say like, you need a bad boy in the sport and stuff like that. I actually don't think you do for this one. Like its heydays were in 15, 16, 17, where there was no real bad boy. It was just people watching people do impressive things and really cool stories of John Colte cleaning shitters for a living and qualifying for the games. Like that was the fun stuff.
Yeah, and there's just so many missed opportunities on highlighting those types of athletes. But I did think that this year was, coming off of the toughest year in the history of the games, I thought this year was a good positive step.
Totally.
And, just hope that they build on that momentum and don't try to overstep. It's like
just keep doing.
Yeah. Go to the next platform. Don't try to jump 3 platforms up.
Yeah. Yep, totally. Well, we'll see what happens. I do think there is going to be an intrigue or an increase in interest in the games for this next season at least. They did a good enough job. I mean, granted, bar was kind of low, but they did a pretty good job.
Yeah. Hopefully, I mean, I'm also hopeful that some of these other competitions are starting to draw more interest back into the sport. Like WFP, there's a lot of positive and negative things, but like regardless, people are talking about it,
right?
Which means that people are going to watch it and talk about it.
Yeah.
Whether you're not a believer or you are a believer, we need more interest in the athletes and in the sport.
Totally.
And that was something that was so unique back in 2015, is like everybody wanted to see what Rich was doing, what Graham Holmberg was doing.
Yeah.
And like,
well, just having, and like to that point, it's just like just having more relatable athletes. Like Matt and Tia were just not
robots.
I mean,
it's no offense to them because they're greatest
great.
to ever do it. But
I do think there is a component to being great that you cannot still not be a robot and like have lore built around you. Like Jordan did it, Kobe did it.
For sure.
Like
for sure. But I mean, you look at Rich and you're like, this is a guy who joined the fire department to pay his way through college. And then, he seems to be just another human. Rich is way smarter than people think.
Yes.
Just
agreed.
for the record.
Yeah.
Rich is a very intelligent man.
The fact that he ate peanut butter and jelly for a full day when he knew that CrossFit Games was coming out to film to trick people to undereat, genius.
Dude. Yes, the game within the game.
Within the game.
And he probably structured his training way more than people
give him credit
for. But like, then this is a guy that likes to play sports. Like the amount of, I mean, you remember the stories around them playing hockey or flag football. Like the Mayhem group actually had rec teams in Cookeville, and is somebody that, like, there's some component of him that's relatable to almost every human, or maybe almost every American. And it's like, this is a dude that, like, self-made, maybe, I would argue that no one is truly self-made because we're all a product of what other people have done.
Like his dad's ranch was a huge help.
Ranch, but like, I didn't build my car from scratch. Like, I didn't invent the car. Right. So like, or anything like that. So like, self-made in the sense that you can be, right. And you just, like, I couldn't tell you the first thing about Tia, and Matt was like, okay, your parents were Olympians. You went to engineering school. Like, you were kind of groomed to be an Olympic type athlete. That didn't quite work out. You had some adversity with your back injury.
And then you entered CrossFit.
Like, just like, there's no... Like, nothing about his personality when I listened to him speak was anything other than, like...
Cool.
And he's, again, the best to do it.
Right. I think there is some intangibles around the best to do it, though, that you need to have... I mean, I'm sure there's some lore out there that I'm missing, but, like, people... When you're the greatest, like, people will create the lore for you. Like, you don't have to create your own. And like Jordan and Kobe and Brady, like, they all have these like crazy stories about them. And like, I guess when Matt was starting to get into it, I was caring a little bit less about like what the athletes were doing and more about just like figuring out coaching, and so maybe there is some like crazy stuff that I'm missing, but like being around the sport from like his entire era, I haven't heard, like, you still hear things that Froning's doing that you're like, whoa. And like, but like Matt's net was, I don't honestly like never like that. Really.
People just don't talk the same way about Matt the way they still talk about Rich.
Right. And like, granted, Rich is still kind of involved in the sport. So like there's
HWPO still exists, man. Like,
fair.
I
fair.
mean,
Yeah.
He's around.
It's not doing open workouts or open announcements.
Me neither.
So, but yeah, I don't know how long this is.
We're at 4.
Oh, so, that was a long one.
That was long. I actually need to go.
Oh, okay. Right on. Well, thanks for coming on, Ryne. How do people find you?
Instagram at Ryne_Sullivan TTT or something of that.
Along those lines.
If you just spell Ryne RYNE and then Sullivan after that, you're probably not going to have too much trouble finding me. So yeah.
Sweet. Right on. Well, thanks for coming on, Ryne.
Absolutely.
Please like and subscribe if you guys haven't yet, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.